We can all come up with incredible ideas, but we have to be able to build it. And I think that's the advantage we have now, is that we can build anything.
Yeah.
Like anything. An idea that's good, that can be produced, will be made. And so we have the power to do that. And it's exciting. And every day we learn of something new that we could use.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Media Machine. I'm Johanna Salazar, and this season feels a little different because it is. The industry is changing. We're all feeling it. And instead of pretending we have everything figured out, I wanted to create space for real conversations. The ones we're already having off mic, on group texts, and over voice notes with friends who get it. That's also why I'm not doing this season alone. Julie Kellman Reading is joining me as co-host, and I'm super excited to bring in her perspectives this season. She brings humor, heart, and a people-first lens that keeps these conversations grounded and human. We're two friends, two hosts coming together to talk about the stories and questions that most of media and Hollywood are actually thinking about, even if they're not always saying them out loud. This season is less about hot takes and more about honest ones. More laughter, more perspective, and more of the conversations that make you feel a little less alone in this industry. So, whether you're in the middle of a pivot, riding a wave, or just curious where media is headed next, we're really glad you're here. Let's get into it. Hi, Julie. Welcome to the pod.
I'm so happy to be here.
I know, finally. We've been preparing for this moment.
I know.
Let's tell the story. How did this even start? Because it's a little bit of a crazy story.
Well, I mean, we met years ago because my old partner and I pitched you when you were at MTV. We sort of kept in touch like on social, but then I started seeing that you were posting everything about your podcast and your platforms and all these amazing things you were doing. And I was like, oh my God, I have to reconnect with you because I didn't know anybody doing the things that you were doing anywhere on either coast. And so I messaged you and we did a catch up and here we are.
I know after that. And it's so funny because I remember I was always following your career and so proud of you because your energy and your positivity just exudes through all the social networks. So I love that. I love that about you. And so I invited you to come on the podcast as one of my guests on season 1. And we haven't stopped talking since.
It's true.
It's like, I just wanted you to come on for one conversation. And the conversation was so great. And our conversations were so just like full of curiosity, insight, humanity, just so many amazing things that, here we are today. And it's a little crazy.
Also, something that I loved is like I would call you up or I would text you and be like, I have something going on. I'd really love your opinion on this. Do you have like 5 minutes for me? And you'd be like, sure, call me whenever. So I would call you and then an hour later we would wrap up the call because you had so much information to share. And it was so helpful to me. And I always thought like, if we recorded this conversation, people would get so much out of it because I'm getting so much out of it. So I think that was another part of the origin story for this podcast collab, because I think between the two of us, we're both creative. We both really want to learn more about this evolution and what's happening in all the different sectors. And so this is such a good opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you and I know a lot of people. We know what's happening on the ground and we're looking at things through different lenses. And also we're on different coasts. So for me, it's really like, I love doing this podcast. It's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I never imagined in a million years that I'd be doing this for many reasons, because I'm always behind the screen. And so are you. And I'm always seeing it from the business side of things because I'm usually a production executive. I came up the ladder as a line producer. I always saw it through the lens of the business side of things. Whenever I left the networks, I also did development and did all these other things. So I feel like I was always reinventing myself and learning, different areas of the business, but you were always on the creative side, but you also had your own business. a production company. So you also saw it from multiple angles, not just a creative angle. And that's fascinating. And you also have the Hollywood side of things. I have the New York side of things. So I feel like we're kind of on the ground seeing what's happening from both coasts, from multiple sides. And also we're hearing directly from our network, our friends, our community, what's happening. It's very sad what's happening.
I think one of the other things that I realized this would be a good collaboration with you and I is because when we would talk, we would say like, what's happening there? And you would say, what's happening in LA? And I see the difference. When I go to New York, I feel like things are still bustling and hustling because there are many different industries there. It just feels like all these amazing things are still happening. Whereas here, when there's a downturn in the industry, it's felt everywhere. So I think having those two perspectives is really kind of a very much more broad look at what's happening right now.
Yeah, true. Let's set the tone for this episode so our listeners and our viewers know why they're listening and watching this video. One is we wanted to give a little bit more context behind why we're doing what we're doing. Why did I bring in a co-host? It happened organically. This whole medium of podcasting is something that not only is it having a moment in time, a very excited moment in time, but it's also an opportunity for us to reach a wide audience in a different way. That's one reason why we're having this conversation, to set the tone and give some more context. Also because it makes sense, us too, media executives in the industry who are going through what a lot of people are going through. We've gone through it and throughout our careers. It doesn't take a pandemic to go through the ups and downs of launching a startup company, a production company, a tech company, running project, developing new creative at a big network, or approving, greenlighting projects at a big network. So you and I come from years of experience inside and outside of the big machine. And also, I think that we're so curious and we're so relentless and we're so excited about what's coming. And one thing that we want to leave people with is hope. And not just hope, but we want people to know that the power is in their hands. Like, you can do this. And one of the many reasons I was excited to have you come on as a co-host is because I see a little bit of me in you, very selfishly. You keep reinventing yourself. You keep doing things that most people would be like, first of all, how does she do that? How do you even begin to do that? How do you think about doing that? And how do you have the courage to do that? And I think you and I see that in each other. We keep reinventing ourselves. And then, but at the same time, we're not necessarily reinventing, we're reframing.
And we're expanding.
We're expanding. We're positive.
Yeah.
We don't take no for an answer.
Yes,
and we figure it out. We figure it out.
It's funny. My mom told me the other day, one of the first things I ever said was, me do that. Like, I wanted to do everything myself when I was younger. And I was like, oh, that makes total sense.
President Julie.
But I think that just leads us to the fact we can do anything. And that's what's exciting to me. I think when I started my first production company with my co-founder, we didn't have the tools we have now. Like, we had to go by the rules. There was just a process you had to go through. Now it's like, okay, I want to write a book. I can write it myself and I can publish it myself. I can do all these things, maybe on a smaller scale, but there's nothing to stop me from creating and doing. That's why when you were doing the podcast, I was like, that's exactly what I feel like we should all do. A lot of people don't know how to start a podcast, which I'm learning so much just by being in this world with you. But it's so brilliant. It's brilliant because we can have a conversation and then we can release it. And it's an hour of content and we can release it to a humongous audience for a very different budget than doing an hour show.
And we're not limited by all the limitations that we had when we were inside a box. Inside a box, which is a network where the old models, I think it's safe to say old models, because what we're going through right now and where we're going is going to become something massively different. And that's what we're designing right now. Where in the past, we had to fit a norm or fit a form or fit a format. Now, not only is the playing field leveled, which I get really excited talking about this because I tell everybody this, the playing field has been leveled. The large companies, the people with all the big budgets are equally as lost and confused as everybody else. They do not know. I know this for a fact. They do not know. And they're going to have a harder time catching up because it takes them a lot longer to catch up. Because they have way too many systems, way too many regulations, way too many people in place to approve something before it gets done.
Right.
Where you and me, at this level, we can approve things in seconds. You're like, Joe, we're going to do this. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Like, there are no millions of layers.
Right. Also, I think like in traditional corporate roles, you have a very specific thing that you do. Like, I do the data of that. Whereas now we do everything. Like I heard a term called generalists, where you can do generally every single role in a position. That means that you have less people that you hire in your team because you can do more. And I think that is the key to being an entrepreneur in this tech space with these tools, is that you just learn how to be more efficient and get more done.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's also why I get very excited about the framework that we do have on the podcast, the 4 Ps: process, profits, people, planet. But really the order of that I prefer is profit, because every business that is not profitable is not a business. It's a hobby. So profit is really good. And that's one thing that I've learned in business with my husband, is that when you don't figure out a way to create profitability immediately in a business, then you're not running a real business. So profits needs to be very, very important. The second one, and it's not a ladder. It's not a ladder. This is like horizontal. It's people. If we don't take care of our people, if we don't look at how we're managing teams, how we're building teams, how we're taking care of those teams, and if we don't care about ourselves and our own growth, and it doesn't matter how old we are and how long we've been in the industry, we can always learn. And maybe we were one way 20 years ago, we can be a different way today, but it's something that we have to take like responsibility for. So people is huge. And then it's planet. We're living in a time where we cannot close our eyes to the problems that are in front of us, because those problems impact all of us. So whether it's building AI factories so that we can all prompt away like mad scientists on our chat GPTs, and the implications of that, if it's not taking care of our communities, if it's not being socially responsible, then we're not going to have to worry about anything, because we're not going to have a planet to worry about.
Right.
So, and I'm very passionate about that. You know that. So yeah. I will incorporate the planet, but the planet is not necessarily like climate change. That's not what I'm talking about. Sometimes I am talking about that. Most of the time I am talking about that. But a lot of the times I'm talking about creating responsible media. Why in season 2, we have somebody coming in, an expert, talking about how he played a massive role in helping to set the foundation for the ratings for social ratings.
That's huge.
The same way we have the PG-13, the rated R, we're going to have an expert coming in onto the podcast to talk about that, how he was part of that commission that are generating the ratings for social, which is amazing.
It's so amazing.
Yeah. So that's what I mean about planet. And then to me, the 4th P is process. So even though I said process first, to me, that's the 4th pillar, because I believe this next era will be all about process. If we're not looking at how we're building business, how we're laying down the foundation of our business. And every time I talk about business, I want people to listen to that and think, whether it's the company that I work for, whether it's the small production company that I'm starting myself, or whether it's my blogging business that now as a media producer, I'm going to reshuffle my expertise and now I'm going to become a blogger or a podcaster. Like, think of business as everything that you do, because everything we do is business and tech. So process is that. It's like, I'm always going to be pushing for people to think about processes and systems, because this next era will be about systems builders. And that's one thing that you and I do address during some of the conversations we have in season 2 is I am now identifying as a media systems builder. And we're going to get into that later on during the season. And I'm encouraging a lot of people to learn about that, because it doesn't really exist right now, but it's a term that I want to coin. It's something that I want to be yelling to everybody about, not yelling, but yelling to everybody. You got to listen to what this term means, because I think this is going to be a whole other world that a lot of people don't know about. And it might even become a new title.
Yeah. Well, I think
people don't even recognize.
We can all come up with incredible ideas, but we have to be able to build it. And I think that's the advantage we have now, is that we can build anything. Yeah. Like anything. So, I mean, you can vibe code. We talk a lot about vibe coding, which is a term not everybody knows, but it's coding something without the code. You need a great idea. And then how do you determine if something is a viable idea? That's, a whole nother conversation unto itself. an idea that's good, that can be produced, will be made. And so we have the power to do that. And it's exciting. And every day we learn of something new that we could use to create our ideas and to make our business expand. I love it. I'm excited. It's scary to some people because some people are not as thrilled about all the technology as we are, because I just see it as more power that we have. And it's hard for some people who feel like they're behind. So I think what our podcast also does is it really talks to the people that needs the inspiration to say, hey, I want to learn that. I can learn that. YouTube University is my favorite university. Like, how do you...
Me too.
I know. Anytime I don't know something, I just I look it up and I learn it. And hopefully we can implore people to do the same, and they can listen to our podcast and walk away saying, oh yes, I can do it. I do have the confidence. I want to put myself out there. I want to put my idea out there, and it can be done.
Exactly. And the other thing too is reminding people that we all have a very short memory span. We're like the goldfish. We have like a 3 to 5 second, or right. I think, I don't even know. You see, I already forgot. But we've been here before. What we're experiencing feels very much like it's never happened. And yes, a lot of what we're experiencing all at once has never happened. Like, we went through a pandemic. We went through AI taking over the world. Like a few years ago, we were talking about this on this podcast. And this podcast has only been out since this year. So I want to let listeners try and figure out that math. We have been here before. In 2008, we had so many media job losses. In our generation, we remember this, but we forgot it because it was so long ago. And it's been so good since. The golden era of media has come and gone. But we've been here before. And so what did people do back then? What did people do back then when there were all these media losses? People reinvented themselves. People became bloggers. People became... podcasting started back then, and nobody was doing it. It wasn't cool to podcast. The creator economy, it was born then. But right now, creators are ruling the world. Yeah. But it started then. What happened? The internet collapsed. What happened? A whole world of internet businesses were born and are still thriving today. Hello, Netflix. Why am I saying this? It's because I want to give people hope that we've been here before and we figured it out. Yeah. It wasn't easy. It was painful, but we figured it out. And so that's what's going to happen now. We're now going to enter an age where 20 years from now, people are going to be experiencing, right now, for example, Netflix is the ruler of the streaming world. Some people will say, no, it's actually YouTube, because YouTube has 2.3 billion daily active users, where Netflix has like 300 million subscribers. So it depends on how you measure that. But one is free, the other one is not. But those businesses were born then. So imagine what we're going to be talking about 20 years from today. It's probably going to be us, how the media machine is going to become this big machine, and we're going to be, the rulers of the universe. But we're starting now, obviously. We're starting now. And so imagine what's going to come out of this time. And they always say necessity is the mother of invention. Yes. When people have to figure it out, they figure it out.
Yeah. And then you just take one step in the right direction, and it's going to lead to something else, which will lead to something else, and things you don't even imagine. I mean, 6 months ago, I didn't think we would be here doing this podcast. And this is the most exciting project I've worked on, I think, in forever, because I love the medium too. And I love that we have control over what we talk about. Also, we're taking the history of our work and applying it here. We're producing this together because we produce other things, and just doing it in a new format. But it's taking that first step, because you never know where it'll bring you.
Yeah. And the other thing too is this moment is intentional. You and I talk a lot about this. We are now designing what this new next era of media will look like. We are the designers of that era. When people are sitting there feeling like, holy cow, what am I going to do? Right now we're designing what's going to come next. What I want people to leave with is that the power is in your hands. You can design what's coming next, because we're the ones that design what happens next. Think of it as you're not reinventing yourself. Reframe what you've done. Think about your career and think about the skill sets and the experience that you've gained. Think about how you've been able to develop ideas and bring them to life. Whether you're in marketing departments, whether you're the development department, whether you're the production department, whatever department you're in, think about how those ideas came to life. I was giving a talk the other day to a cool group, and I was telling them that nobody is better set up to succeed in this era, in this new next era, than us, creatives, producers, directors, marketers, creators, the people that are constantly being told, come up with something that doesn't exist. You have very limited time, very limited budget, very limited resources to make it come to life. I have not worked in a production and I've worked in many productions. I'm usually the one managing the business and the money. I've not worked in a production and I've worked with all the massive networks where budget was not an issue. And everybody thought because we were this big company or this big network or this big streamer that we have all, like, our pockets are just full of cash. No. All our pockets were constantly tight. If we are the ones that are constantly given impossible missions and we still make them happen, what do you think is this next era of media going to look like? I'm so excited.
And the more we can learn to do ourselves as part of the process, even automating it, the more valuable we'll be as producers too, because then we don't need a huge staff and we can manage, the process on our own. But I think it also just comes down to when people are kind of stuck, like, what am I going to do from here? I don't know these processes. I don't know what, we're talking about. It really comes down to, what do you love? What is something that you love and makes you happy? And then how do you build that from there?
Yeah, I agree. It's like you don't need a new identity. You just need a new container.
Right, exactly.
You are exactly perfect right now. Like, you have all the skills. You've done so much. We are perfect. So don't sit there think, oh my God, how do I reinvent myself? Reframe. Think about, how do I get a new container? How do I do something different? I've reinvented I feel like I'm like Madonna. I've reinvented myself so many times. And I was thinking a lot about this. I never really liked letting people put me in a box. And even though if you follow my career, you could see that there's a thread. I've usually been on the business side of production. People who are listening to this know what we're talking about because we all come from the same space. But if somebody doesn't know what I'm talking about, production is very clear. We all know if you work in production, you know what you do. If you say the title, then you even more clearly know what that means. In this new era, production can fit into every industry. I have a business with my husband and we bring food education into classrooms across New York City. I'm hiring producers all the time. And I said to my husband, I only want to hire producers from now on to do these jobs. I will give them the tools to succeed because they come with a different mindset. It's a new industry for me, education and dealing with local politics and government grants and just the pace and the mindset that people come with. I'm like, I literally have given producers tasks. I mean, these people come with credibility. They're getting certifications in nutrition. They're becoming certified with the Department of Education. It's not like they're just coming out of nowhere and I'm giving them a job. They are putting in the work. That's it. Put in the work, people. You can't just, convert yourself into something overnight. Put in the work. But my point is that I said to my husband, I'm just going to try and look at my network of producers who have been going into education and nutrition or chefs, because what they do is amazing. There's so many industries that need production people. So don't just get stuck in one industry. Like, there's so much work right now in other markets and other industries that people don't think about.
Yeah, if you look at it like that and you don't get married to the title that you had or the title that you think you have, and you just look at your skills and what you can offer and the efficiencies, yes, we're very marketable. Every project in any industry has a concept, a budget, and a schedule. And those are the key elements. And we know how to do that. We dream about those things.
Exactly. I love that you mentioned titles because one thing that I keep talking about is platforms. I'm not talking about like a tech platform. I'm talking about just when you're thinking of a title, remove what you know about that. Whatever that means to you, try and get yourself out of that mindset and start thinking about platforms. In this talk that I gave the other day, I was encouraging people in that room to think of the problem that you're looking to solve. Look at companies that you'd love to work with. Look at industries that you'd love to enter. Or look at your hobbies. Think about what are you passionate about? What are your values? And then look at what companies would I be open to working with? And then identify your top 3 to 5 companies. And then look at those companies and think about what problems are they looking to solve? And then how do I help them solve that problem? Let's say you're like, oh, Disney's my company. Try and help them figure out what problem they're trying to solve. You start breaking it down. And that's Disney. But what if you want to work at a hospital? They need producers because because everybody's telling stories now. Everybody needs to tell a story because people need money, profits. Why I said profits was first, because everything is a business.
Yeah, everything is a business, but also creating content on your own in some ways can be looked at as your portfolio of your ability. So you're not waiting for somebody to give you that green light to work. You're actually creating things on your own, which will further showcase your talent.
And I love that you're saying that, because that's part of the platform idea. Like if we start thinking about platforms and what platform am I thinking about? Oh, well, I'm thinking about the my own personal platform. You know, what does that mean? Well, maybe I can create content for myself. Julie, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but you went and you started doing some yoga videos on, because like, and it's not just some yoga videos. You started creating this whole world around one of your hobbies.
Yeah.
Talk about that, because that's massive.
Well, I definitely had a moment. It was during the strikes, and we had closed my first production company, and I was really leaning into love and daydreams. And I just thought, what is it that I love? It's that one question I posed earlier. And what am I good at? And it's the strikes, yoga. Nobody wanted to hear how to produce or wanted to like learn from me at that point. So I just thought, okay, I'm going to lean into this other thing that a lot of people do love. And so I designed a bunch of yoga mats, which I talked about on the other episode where you interviewed me.
And I love them. I just bought my first one. You gifted me one time. I'm going to show them. We're going to share it in the show notes. We're going to share it in the show notes.
I love that.
They're beautiful. They're so beautiful.
So I decided that I wanted to design yoga mats, first of all, because I also am a designer at heart. And so I learned all the systems, the Shopify, the Printify, the drop shipping, the build your Squarespace, like all the things I learned, Etsy, Instagram store, TikTok store. So I just taught myself it. YouTube is really how I learned it all. And very shortly I did. So I designed those, and then I realized I had to market them. So I had to do videos, but I didn't want to be on the other side of the camera because I never was. And here we are, like cut to now. But I just was not. I like being behind the camera. So I didn't even buy lights for the first like couple months. I just would not even want to show myself. But then when I realized that people could see me, I had way more views and way more sales. So then I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to actually do this. So it just kind of was born from there. And then that whole thing that I built is really why you and I connected, because I was doing my thing, you're building your thing, and the synergy was so organically there. That's when I go back to just what do you love and take step by step, build your thing that'll lead you to a whole nother other path that you may never have expected would come.
Well, I'm glad you're saying that, because that's exactly what happened to me. My husband and I went through something similar. We had our previous creative technology studio / production company. And unfortunately, it was so sad. We didn't make it through the pandemic. You know, we had offices on 23rd between Madison and Park, and we had a team, and it was like a death. You know, it was like letting go of something that you, for a long time, you work on, especially, you know, when you care about the people. That's the thing that you think about the most. We went to work with World Central Kitchen, and we started helping people in need and feeding people. So I knew nothing about food insecurity. It was not a thing that I wanted to get into because I knew nothing about it. I was ignorant to all of it. Long story short, that put us in front of food insecurity. We're like, what is the problem that we're actually solving? Because we learned that it's not that there's a lack of food in this country. It's a lack of connectivity. Like the systems are broken, and they don't need a Band-Aid. They need to be reimagined. And my husband and I were like, well, we're the perfect people to do this. No, we're not. We're just the craziest people that believe that they can. So we did. And here we are 5 years later, still doing it. And now we're getting recognized. People believe that we can do it. And we don't come from food insecurity. We don't come from policy. We don't come from government. We don't come from local anything. We don't come from education. We don't come from any of this. But we've put in the work. From YouTube University, I've also learned so much.
So many degrees.
So I have so many degrees from YouTube University. That's it. We've put in the hard work, but it started with curiosity. It started with, let's do it. Let's go help people. Because, you know, like all of us, we thought we were going to be at home for 2 weeks. And here we are. And so we reinvented ourselves. Then this podcast idea started, well, as a book in 2022. And then 23, I was going to sit there and just write a book. And then I thought, well, by the time this book comes out, the whole ChatGPT stuff was coming out, and I was obsessed. And I've been in the tech space for 15, almost 20 years now. I was following everything happening with OpenAI. I said, by the time I write this book, it's going to be old news. So let me just do this podcast. And I was like, oh gosh, podcast. But at the time I only thought audio. So I was like, yeah, totally podcast. Love it. Cause I got a journalism degree. When we were going to start doing it, it was like, oh wait, no, we're going to record video on Zoom, and then we're going to use the episodes and put them out. And I was like, no, my insecurities got in the way. In 2023, these 5 episodes were ready to go. I did didn't do it. I didn't do it because of my insecurities. And then I took a job and I went and I did that. And then this year I was like, you know what? That's it. I had an end date for my previous job and I had a start date for the podcast. And I was like, I have to do this. I'm going to do it. I don't care if it's not perfect. I don't care if people make fun of me. I don't care if I'm criticized and judged. I was like, I'm too old for this. What do I have to lose? Nothing.
Right. But the best thing that you did is you started. And we talk a lot about that. It's like that. It's so hard to start. But honestly, if you believe you are a thing and a person that does this thing, other people will believe in it because you believe in it. And taking that first step is the hardest.
True. That is the hardest. And then when you think about it, it's like, it's not the hardest thing because the hardest thing was the idea. Like when you start unpacking, it's like, wait, how did I even get to making the move? People think the hardest thing is starting. When you think of it, like getting to that point, it's extremely hard.
Yeah.
When you and I know that getting started is actually just a decision, right?
It's a hard
just
one.
Saying, that's my point right there.
Yeah.
The minute I know I'm going to do it, like I just do it, but it's getting to that point. That's the hard part.
You know, I just realized something just having this conversation, which always happens. Like we talk and then I'm like, oh yeah, like now I get that point. The big difference between what we're doing and how we're navigating this new sort of part of the industry and many other people are versus a producer, a traditional producer, is that yes, we've got the concept and the schedule and the budget and we have the script so we know what we're making. Here, we don't have that script. We have the idea, the budget, the general schedule of what we'll spend or not, like because we're doing everything ourselves. But we have the ability to be malleable to how this path will unfold. We don't know what the end goal is with this podcast or what's going to be an offshoot from it or what's happening with your food stream and what that will become. Like you just have to continue to move forward and build and plant the seeds and they will bloom however they're supposed to bloom. And then you keep planting more seeds and it blooms in different ways, but it's really being malleable like that.
I love that. I love that because we're not here trying to tell people like, oh, it's going to be so easy. You just have an idea and you go and blah, blah. No, we're not doing the season because it's easy. We're doing this because it's freaking hard.
Right.
Julie and I have a lot going on. We're thinking how we're going to rescue the industry and how we're going to make tons of jobs for people, for all our friends, because we're going to help them. That's what we're thinking. But that's because we're systems builders. We're not thinking about
the opportunity.
We see the opportunity 1000% because we're business women, but also because we're putting in the work.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's really freaking hard. But like Julie said, just do it. Just start somewhere. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. And Julie comes in with, she has a design eye. She wants to make everything beautiful and perfect. And I'm like, let's just get it done.
Yeah. And we find a happy medium.
That's why it's good to also work with people that complement you.
Right.
And if you don't want to do it on your own, you don't have to. Find people that complement you and that you complement and then do it together.
Find that right
Especially
partner.
now.
I mean, what Johanna's saying is we're basically perfect.
We are, not only are we perfect human beings,
but yeah, you want to find the partner that complements you. You don't want two of the same. It never works.
Yeah.
But that's what I hope with this podcast. I think people will come and they will hopefully like the conversations, but get a lot of real takeaway from the people that we have. We have interviewed some amazing people, which we won't reveal yet. We've got more amazing people lined up for January. I'm so happy. We have people coming to us now, which is also very exciting.
Yeah. And we've already done what, like 10? We've done like 10 episodes already.
Yeah.
Because the first season, we only had 5 episodes before I launched. And now we have 10 before launching. That's crazy.
And we have a schedule that we're going to adhere to.
Yes. Yes.
Because we're producers. I want to say thank you, Johanna, for bringing me into this world and your podcast. When we first talked about doing something together, I thought we were going to do something new. And then you invited me into this world that you already built. And I'm very grateful. I'm very excited about this season. And so I hope everyone loves it as much as we do. I'm actually like, of all the things I've produced in my life, I loved all my old projects and everybody I worked with, but this is so exciting because it is a whole nother world.
Yeah.
So
I feel the same way. Thank you. I feel the same way. And I look forward to doing this. I used to tell my husband, I'm like, if I could just get somebody to pay me to have really cool conversations with people I love and admire. And that's what we're doing right now. So
I just said the exact same thing this past weekend when I was telling someone about this podcast. It was like, this is perfect. I'm really good at talking. I should just talk for a living. Anyway.
I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. Like Julie said, we're not going to give names yet, but we will soon. It's really cool, impressive people that are going to help bring insights. We're sharing inspired. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love to see people succeed. And I know so many amazing people right now that could do their own thing. I'm really hoping what we talk about can allow people to take that step to build the world that they've always wanted to be in.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. That's a great way to end this, Julie. Thank you so much. I'm excited for what we're building. Folks, stay tuned for guest updates, press releases, maybe even event update. You can find all this on the show notes. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks for joining us on The Media Machine. If somebody sent you this, it's because they care about you and your future. The Media Machine is created by me, Johanna Salazar. I'm also the host and executive producer with Julie Kellman Reading, who is also the co-host and editor. See you next time.